Hello there, I hope you are doing well. So today's task is to create a relationship between two tables, a one-to-many relationship using Microsoft Access using 2016. So the two tables that I have is the apprentices table with the following fields. I'm just going to design. So I've got vacancy ID, up to wage, day release, and their respective data types. Short text, number, date, currency, yes, no, which is the Boolean. Then I also have the framework table with the following data types. So what I just need to do with these tables, I'm just going to create a relationship, a one-to-many relationship between these two tables. So to do the relationship, I'm simply going to go to database tools, then I'm going to click on relationships. So I'll just show table there. So these are the two tables that I have, apprentices framework appearing here. So I'm just going to select the two tables and add. I can close this. Then I'm just going to enlarge the apprentices table. Now, for us to do a one-to-many relationship, we are supposed to link a primary key from one table to a foreign key in the other table. So the primary key, that's the unique field in this table, then the same field appearing in the other table. So as it appears in this table, it's the foreign key. So our one-to-many relationship is going to fail initially because of one thing. So just going to do it first time. So I'll press down on subject ID, which is the primary key. Then I'll drop it on subject ref, which is the foreign key. So it's going to show that I'm doing a one-to-many relationship, between the framework and the apprentices table. So the framework, that's where we have the primary key, so that's the one side. Then apprentices, that's where I have the foreign key, that's the main side. So I'm just going to enforce referential integrity here. So by enforcing referential integrity, I'm kind of validating to say that the information that I get in subject ref should exist in the framework table. There should not be any information that or a subject ref that does not exist in this framework table under subject ID. So the restriction is mainly on the primary key. Then the other issue when it comes to referential integrity is the issue of the data types. In as much as the data could be the same that is appearing in here, all the data that appears under subject ref should be existing in this table. But the other thing also, the two fields should have the same data type. If they don't have the same data type, then it fails the test for the referential integrity. So I'm going to enforce, then create. So it's going to give me an error. So it's going to say relationship must be on the same number of fields with the same data types. So what I'm being told here is that there's an error in the primary key to foreign key. They are not sharing the same data type. So it violates the law of the referential integrity. So I'm just going to cancel everything. Then I'm going to close here. I'm not going to save. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going back to the apprentices table. So I'll start with the table that is with the primary key, which is the framework table. Go to design. So our primary key that we are trying to link is a subject ID. It is what a data type, which is a numeric data type, which is an integer. That's the format. It's an integer. So if I close this table and go back to the foreign key table, so go to design, check my foreign key, which is subject ref. So you can see where the mistake is now. The foreign key, the primary key subject ID is having a numeric data type, whereas the foreign key, this one, subject ref, is having a text data type. So I have to change this foreign key so that it matches or it tallies with the primary key. So how I'm going to do it, simply going to change the data type. So I'll change this to number, then I'll make sure that the format is also the same, which is an integer. Then I'm just going to click just going to close this and save. So I'm just going to click on yes. From there, let me go to database tools, relationships, show table. Then try to do the relationship again. So I'm going to enlarge this one. Right, so I'm going to start with my primary key, subject ID, drag it to subject ref. That's it. So one-to-many relationship from subject ID to subject ref, enforce referential integrity, create. So now my one-to-many relationship is there with the 1 and the infinity sign representing the many. So that's the relationship. So we have discovered that for you to enforce referential integrity, the data types of the two fields have to be the same. The primary key as well as the foreign key. Otherwise, it brings an error. So one other issue on the referential integrity is the issue of the data that is stored in the foreign key. So all the subject ref that you find in the foreign key here should exist in the subject ID. Should exist as a subject ID, otherwise it gives an error. So I'm going to just do one thing. I just want to try to clarify that by, so I'm going to close this. I'm going to say yes. Then I'll go to my framework table where I've got my primary key. So when I go there, I look at these numbers, which is the subject ID. So if I look at these subject ID numbers, they're starting from 403 to 639, something like that. So what I'm going on to do is I'm going to close this. I'm going to open the apprentices table. Then these numbers, they are controlled by the primary key. So there is no number that should be placed here which does not exist on the primary key, which is the subject ID. So for interest's sake, let's try to introduce an error here. So we find that our numbers are going from 400 to 639, thereabout. So I'll try to put a number which does not exist in my primary key. So I'm going to put 700 here. Then I'm going to move around. So this date has been affected. I'll just I'm not worrying about the date. Just going to put a random number on the date here, 2018. What I just need you to take note of is this number that I've placed, which does not exist in the primary key. So when I try to move away from this record, it's going to give me an error. You cannot add or change a record because a related record is required in the framework table. So what it is telling me is the relationship that I've created, a one-to-many relationship between framework and apprentices, which I have enforced with the referential integrity, has been violated. How is it been violated? I have placed a number here, 700, in the foreign key field, but it does not exist in the primary key. So the row is on the primary key. So all the numbers that are in the primary key, any number that is in the primary key can exist in the foreign key, but you can't have a number in the foreign key which is not there in the primary key. So this, you won't be able to save a record with that 700. It means we have violated. So what it will mean is we need to come here and put a number that is existing in the table, in the primary key. So I can put something like 611. 611, I'm sure it's there, and I can save. So these are some of the things that you need to realize when it comes to the one-to-many relationship. The primary key and foreign key should share the same data type, and any number that you're going to enter within the foreign key should be existing in the primary key. So I hope this video is enlightened you on creation of relationships, as well as debugging errors to do with relationships, one-to-many relationships between two or more tables. Thank you so much. We meet in the next